guys, welcome to the channel of Next IAS. This is me Twinkle and I'm back again with another brand new set of some important questions, keeping in mind the upcoming prelims 2022. Well, we are solving the questions. Along with that, we are covering certain topics through the questions. So that is our strategy. I hope you guys are doing well and our preparations might have been fantastic till now. Keep up the good work anyway. Let us start with question number 1 here. Question number 1 says which two states in India have allowed commercial cultivation of the hemp crop. Okay, so they're talking about the hemp crop. Hemp, or we can call it as marijuana. Okay, so they are a member of the cannabis family. In local language, we also call it as the ganja. Okay, so we are talking about that particular thing here. So it wants to know that is it legal and which two states in India has allowed its commercial cultivation. So we need to first of all see why this has been in news. So this is in news because recently Dr. Reddy's laboratory, which is a major player in the Indian pharmaceutical industry, Dr. Reddy's laboratory has declared that it is going to acquire the German firm Nimbus Health. Okay. Now what is the speciality of Nimbus Health is that it deals in drug. Okay, it deals in drug made up of cannabis. Okay, so it is manufacturing cannabis based drugs for medical purpose. Okay, and Dr. Reddy's laboratory is about to acquire that. Next we see that marijuana or hemp, like I told you, is a part of the cannabis superfamily and its cultivation for commercial purposes is illegal. Only few of the states have permitted, we will see to it, but overall it is illegal for commercial cultivation, but in several parts it is grown as weed. Okay. And this next we see that marijuana has two components. We also need to remember what are the two components in marijuana. One is CBD, one is THC. CBD is cannabidiol and THC is tetrahydrocannabinol. Okay. Now further, if we see about cannabis, it refers to a group of 3 plants with psychoactive properties. Okay, psychoactive properties, and the 3 categories are Cannabis sativa, Cannabis indica and Cannabis ruderalis. Okay, cannabis are also known as marijuana, like I told you, right? So sativa, indica and ruderalis are the species of cannabis, right? Next, I want you to know that why is hemp being considered. The cultivation of hemp is being considered because of its vast significant usage. Okay, it can be significantly used in so many different industries, starting from textile, industrial textile, paper, foods, body care, building materials, right? So it has a lot of application and it is also the strongest natural fiber in the world. Okay, so hemp is the strongest natural fiber. It is known to have over 50,000 different uses apart from the medical usage that we are covering here. So we need to see that what is the status of medical cannabis in India. But before that, I want you to know that we studied about the 2 types of cannabis. Okay, cannabinoids. One has THC and one has CBD. Now, if we talk about marijuana, it has more content of THC and hemp has more content of CBD. Okay, so that is how they are differentiated. More content of CBD is declared as the hemp, and if there is more content of THC, then it is declared as marijuana. Next, we need to know that what is the status of medical cannabis in India. So if we talk about India, while the trade and consumption of cannabis is banned under which the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Act, NDPS, okay, of 1985. So NDPS Act has banned the consumption of cannabis and also the trade of cannabis. Now, it is not completely prohibited in the country because it has some medical and scientific usage, and that is why it is allowed for medical and scientific use only after obtaining the necessary permission from the state governments, right? If we see in the year 2018, Uttarakhand became the very first state to declare the cultivation of cannabis as legal. Okay, so it was the first state in the country to allow commercial cultivation of the hemp crop, right? Next, if we see, year later, Madhya Pradesh also joined the league, and Madhya Pradesh also declared that they will also allow the cultivation commercial cultivation of the hemp crop. Next, once we are talking about this Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Act 1985, we need to know certain things about this also, right? So previously what happened was there were certain more acts that came, like the old acts were related to narcotic substance, Opium Act of 1857, Opium Act of 1878, Dangerous Drugs Act of 1930. Now all these were replaced, okay, all these were replaced by the NDPS Act, Narcotic Drug and Psychotropic Substance Act 1985. So all this got an exit and this got an entry. Now in this the provisions were made, certain provisions were made. What were the provisions? You need to understand that this act actually provides for the prohibition, control and regulation as far as the hemp crop is considered and the cultivation is considered. Now apart from this, this is also providing for the licensing system, okay. So licensing system may there has to be certain regulations put up as far as manufacture, cultivation, import, export, transportation, sales and possession of this particular crop is concerned, okay. So that is what the NDPS Act does, Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Act of 1985. I hope this must have been clear to you, right? Now, this is an act of the Parliament of India that prohibits a person to produce, manufacture, cultivate, possess, sell, purchase, transport, store and or consume any narcotic drug or psychotropic substance, right? It extends to the whole of India. It came into force after the central government notified it in the Gazette of India on the 14th of November 1985. That is why we call it the NDPS Act of 1985, right? I hope that is clear to you. So let us go and check the question. I hope the question must have been clear to you. It's quite simple. I wanted you to pay attention more on the discussion. Now, which two states were that? First one, we said that in 2018, Uttarakhand declared the cultivation as legal, and then a year later, Madhya Pradesh also declared that it will make the cultivation as legal. So A is the right answer. I hope this is clear to you. We'll wind up with this question. We'll move to the next question now. Next question may we see, with reference to the PM CARES Fund, consider the following statements. Now, here we are discussing about the PM CARES Fund. Firstly, the statement says the PM CARES Fund the finance minister is the ex officio chairman of the PM CARES Fund. We have to verify that. We'll study certain facts about the PM CARES Fund. Second, it says it consists entirely of voluntary contributions from individuals or organizations and does not get any budgetary support, right? Ex officio chairman is the finance minister. Pay attention to this, and it does not get any budgetary support. Next, we say donations to Prime Minister CARES Fund would qualify for 8TG benefits for 100% exemption under the, so it says 100% exemption milega usko kisme, under the Income Tax Act of 1961. We have to verify that. Fourth says its funds are audited by an auditor who is a chartered accountant drawn from the panel prepared by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, right? This one. Now we have to check which all statements are correct. It is saying, talking about the correct statements. First of all, let us study certain facts about the PM CARE funds. So, Prime Minister's Citizen Assistance and Relief in Emergency Situations Fund, that is CARES, Citizen Assistance Relief in Emergency Situations Fund, that is what we called as CARES, C-A-R-E and S here, okay. So PM CARES Fund. So it was created in the year 2020 when there was a breakdown of the COVID-19 pandemic, right? And it was created to give a relief and to face and to tackle any distress which is caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, okay. Any kind of emergency situation or distress situation which is posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, and to provide relief to the affected citizens, right? Next, we see who is the ex officio chairman of the funds here. Now, PM CARES Fund mein, the Prime Minister himself is the ex officio chairman, okay. Who is it? The Prime Minister, right? So, I hope you got one answer here. So, one statement has been clear to you now. Other ministers who are involved here, okay, as trustees are the Defense Minister, Minister of Home Affairs and Minister of Finance of the Government of India. So they are the ex officio trustees of the fund. I hope this is getting clear to you, right? So in the question it was mentioned that Finance Minister is the ex officio chairman, which is wrong. It is the Prime Minister. Finance Minister and these ministers are just the ex officio trustees, okay? Now, the fund consists entirely of voluntary contributions coming from organizations and individuals, right? This is true. It is voluntary and that is why it does not get any budgetary support. So there is no budgetary support that the fund gets, okay? PM CARE funds doesn't get any kind of budgetary support, okay? Next, if we see, the donation of the PM CARES fund would qualify for the ATG benefits and hence it will be exempted, okay? We have read that and it was given in the question that 100% exempted, okay, from the tax under the Income Tax Act of 1961. Now, this statement is also true because one of the fact that we learnt is also asked in the question. Now, donations to PM CARE fund will also qualify to be counted as the CSR, Corporate Social Responsibility expenditure under the Companies Act of 2013. Okay, so it is getting so many advantages. One, it is getting exemption from the taxation. Next, it is also getting it is also be counted under the CSR. Okay, and next we see that it functions with transparency and its funds are audited by whom? By an auditor who is a chartered accountant and drawn from the panel prepared by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. So that was given in the question also, right? So if we see why was this in news was the PM CARES fund collected 10,990 crores from its inception in March 2020 until March 2021. Okay, so one of the fact is that this much has been the collection. So that was revealed. Okay, so this was revealed. Now, if you go and check, so here we saw that the first statement is absolutely wrong. Why? Because it is saying the ex officio chairman is the finance minister and we studied that it is not the finance minister, it is the prime minister who is the ex officio chairman. Next we see that it consists entirely of voluntary contributions from individual organizations and does not get any budgetary support. This is right, okay? We studied that clearly. Now the donations to PM CARES fund would qualify ATG benefits exempted from the Income Tax Act 1961, right? This is also correct. Now the fourth statement says its funds are audited by an auditor who is chartered accountant drawn from the panel of prepared by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. This is also correct, right? We studied all these facts about PM CARES fund. You need to remember this and this will be enough to solve this question now. So 2, 3 and 4 are correct. B is the right answer, correct? I hope the things about PM CARES fund must have been clear to you. Now one thing I want to know from you is whether PM CARES fund is coming under the RTI Act or not. What did I say? Whether it comes under the RTI Act or not. Okay. You have to find out this and go to the comment section and write down your answer there. I want you to have a research on this particular thing, whether it's coming under the RTI Act or whether it's not coming, right? So this is one homework assignment that you have right now. Yeah, so now we take a look at question number 3. It talks about, with reference to Belt and Road Initiative BRI, consider the following statements. China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is a part of BRI. So we need to check whether it's a part of BRI or not, right? So firstly, we'll check that fact. Second, it says that it is a project bypassing the need to transport goods from the Middle East to China through the Strait of Hormuz. We have to check the facts. First of all, let us study that what is this BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, okay, and China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. So this is in news basically because China and Pakistan have recently signed an agreement, okay, and recently the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan, okay, had visited China, okay, and signed an agreement. They signed an agreement to continue the second phase of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC. So the agreement has been signed recently and that is why it has been in news. Now it clearly says that CPEC is the part of BRI. BRI is what? Belt and Road Initiative. Okay, so our first statement is automatically clear that China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, is a part of BRI. This statement is correct. Okay, let us study further about this topic. So the Belt and Road Initiative is also known as the China's Marshall Plan. Okay, of course you know China cannot stay away from creating mischief. Next it says that mutual benefit is a feature of the BRI which will also help to develop markets for China's products in the long term to elevate industrial access capacity in the short term. Okay, so that is one positive feature about this project. Next it says that Belt and Road Initiative is the new Silk Road Initiative. Okay, so it has been said that, and both by land and by sea it has been announced that this will be done through the landways and through the seaways. And who's announced this? The Chinese President Xi Jinping in the year of 2013 had announced that. It's going in the phases, okay, it's going in phase wise manner. Now it is the most ambitious infrastructure and connectivity project in the history, aiming to connect what? Aiming to connect China with Europe by land and rail, and to Africa and Asia by sea. You see, the project is so vast that it's going to connect what? It's going to connect China with Europe and Africa with Asia, okay, by the seaways, and China with Europe by the railways. So that's a quite heavy, huge project. Now the project is of actually a very strategic significance for China, as it is a means to transport goods from where? From the Middle East, okay, to its territory by bypassing the Strait of Malacca, which can be a choke point in case there is a conflict with the United States, okay, or any other adversaries arises. So that is one kind of a complication that might come in picture. The Strait of Hormuz is situated between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. So there was a statement, okay, which was talking about this particular point in the question. So we'll see the project is of strategic significance for China, as it is a means to transport goods from the Middle East to its territory by bypassing the Strait of Malacca, okay. And it says transport goods from the Middle East to China, okay, which is wrong. That is why this statement is wrong, only one is correct. I hope you got a clear idea about this BRI initiative and also the CPEC. So there we wind up with this question. Next we go ahead and we see that question number 4 says, it was built in 1591 by Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah, who was the 5th king of the Qutub Shahi dynasty, and it has been built in the Indo-Saracenic style of architecture. The material used are granite and lime mortar. Right? Now you need to know which monument are they talking about, okay. So this is basically describing a monument, okay. The monuments are Taj Mahal, Qutub Minar, Char Minar, Red Fort. First of all, you need to understand what is the monument they are talking about, okay. So here they are talking about Char Minar basically, and where is it? It is in Hyderabad, okay. Where is Char Minar? It is in Hyderabad. Why this has been in news? So this was in news because the Archaeological Survey of India has said that it will be making a discrete wiring and will be lighting up Char Minar in a better presentable way. So that was the news, and that is why this question has come up here. Next we see that what is Archaeological Survey of India first of all, because it is connected to this question and that particular article that appeared in the newspaper. So the Archaeological Survey of India is an Indian government agency attached to the Ministry of Culture, okay. Archaeological Survey, ASI, attached to the Ministry of Culture, that is responsible to conduct archaeological research and the conservation and preservation of historical monuments, right. That is the responsibility of the ASI, okay. ASI does that. What does it do? It preserves, it conserves, and it is also conducting research, okay. Now ASI's function is to explore, excavate, conserve, preserve and protect the monuments and sites of national and international importance. I hope this is clear to you. Next we see that what is Indo-Saracenic style architecture, because that is also, this topic is also coming in the question in some way or the other, right. So firstly we see that this kind of the Saracenic style of architecture is also called as Indo-Gothic architecture, Mughal Gothic architecture, Neo-Mughal architecture or Hindu style architecture. So these are the different names given to this same Saracenic style of architecture. If we see that it combines traditional Indian architecture elements, okay. If we see some features, we see that it has scalloped arcs and onion domes with traditional with the traditional British architecture, okay. So it has a combination of that as well, and the mixture of Indian elements with the neoclassical and Gothic style typifies an Indo-Saracenic building, okay. So these are the features. Now we will see that it is mostly used by the Britishers, and so many buildings and monuments created during the times of the Britishers, the government offices and etc. are also made in this style. Okay, so yeah, we see that it is mostly used by the British architects in India and in the later 19th century, okay, especially in public and government buildings in the British Raj and the palaces of rulers during those times, okay. These are the features along with open pavilions, okay. So these are the features of which kind of architecture, of this Sasanic style of architecture, okay. Keep that in mind. So we've discussed both the topics which were included in this particular question. Firstly, we also came to know about Charminar, okay. So these are the features, these are the facts which is mentioned about Charminar. You can collect it from the question itself. Next we've seen ASI, the Archaeological Survey of India. Next we also saw this style of architecture which it is adopting, the Sasanic style of architecture, okay. Next, I want you to answer this question. Which historical monument in Delhi is a synthesis of Persian and Indian styles of architectures? So, you need to comment this particular answer in the comment box, okay. Just write your answer, whether it's Qutub Minar, it's Lodi's tomb, it's Humayun's tomb, or it is Red Fort. And what should be the observation? That it should be a combination of Persian and Indian style of architecture. Synthesis of Persian and Indian style of architecture. From which city? From the city called as Delhi, okay. So what is the right answer out of these four options? You need to go and comment in the comment box. Also, I want you to give me some more examples about this Sasanic style of architecture present in India, okay. So you can easily find them out. You just take a little pain, do a little bit of effort, and just go and select one or two options and mention it in the comment box, right. Next, I'll take you to question number 5 here. Question number 5 talks about languages, okay. So which of the following languages are given classical status in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution? We need to understand. See, they are talking about classical status, okay. Make sure you don't get confused, okay. Classical languages, languages included in the 8th schedule, the national language, the official language. So make sure that you keep all these things separate. Right now in this question we are talking about the classical language status, okay. Firstly, we'll study about what is classical language, right. So firstly, if we see that classical language is a language which is chosen based on these criterias, okay. Now what is the criteria? That it should have high antiquity of its early text recorded history over a period of 1500 to 2000 years. Also, the body of ancient literature or text which is considered as a valuable heritage by generation of speakers, okay. And the literary tradition to be original, and it should not be borrowed by some other speech community. It should be original in itself, okay. And the next, the classical language and the literature being distinct from the modern, there may also be a discontinuity between the classical language and its later forms of its offshoots. So there are 4 criteria based on which the Ministry of Culture, okay, the Ministry of Culture decides whether the language is going to be a classical language or not, okay. That is one thing. So we need to figure out. Now if we further discuss about the provision of the languages and the articles dealing with the provision of the official languages in India. So we see that article 343 to article 351, okay. So they are basically dealing with the provision of the official languages in the Indian Constitution. Now next, we know that initially there were only 14 languages that were declared as the official language in India, okay. So the 8th schedule incorporates the provision of the official languages of India. Now the 8th schedule includes the recognition of the following 22 languages, okay. So right now there are 22 languages, but initially there were only 14 languages, and after 2003 there were not any languages which were added. Okay, so 2003 was the last where a new language was added to the list in the 8th schedule. Okay, so let us take a look. Initially there were 14 languages, that is fine, but later on which languages were added. Okay, so you see this is some kind of an OTP. Okay, you receive some kind of an OTP on a mobile phone, so just memorize it as a OTP, because this can be important keeping in mind the exam question. Okay, so 217192, what does this mean? 217192. Okay, so this means the amendment, the 21st amendment. Okay, so these are the amendments. This is 71st amendment, this is 92nd amendment. Okay, this is also an amendment. Okay, so there were 3 amendments, and with all these 3 amendments there were languages that were added. Okay, so Sindhi, the language Sindhi was added in the year 1967 with 21st amendment of the Indian Constitution, right? With 71st amendment we added Konkani, Manipuri, Nepali in the year 1992. With 92nd amendment we added Bodo, Dogri, Maithili, Santhali in the year 2003, and after 2003 there were no languages which were added any further. So if you remember the previous list or not, make sure you remember this particular thing and this particular OTP, 217192. Okay, 21st amendment, 71st amendment and 92nd amendment. Okay, so Sindhi came with 21st amendment and these came with 71st amendment, and Bodo, Dogri, Maithili, Santhali came with 92nd amendment. Keep that in mind. Next, we need to see about the 6 languages that are declared as classical. Okay, because the question was that. So first is Tamil, Sanskrit, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Odia. Okay, Tamil, Sanskrit, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Odia. So we have total 6 classical languages. Please don't forget that. How many classical languages? 6. How many official languages? 22 mentioned in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution, and out of that these 6 are the classical languages. Okay, make sure you remember this. So looking here at the options, Kannada was there in the list of the classical languages. Out of those 6 languages, Kannada was one of it, Sanskrit was one of it, Malayalam was one of it, Dogri was not mentioned in the list of the classical languages. You can check Tamil, Sanskrit, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Odia. Dogri is missing. Dogri is not the classical language, it is not yet declared as the classical language. Might be sometime later in future, but right now it is not the right option. 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2 and 3 are correct. So D is the right option. I hope this is clear to you, and the topics associated with this particular question, we also tried covering that. Now next I want you to go and do some more efforts, right, because it's time that you pull up your socks and work little more harder. So before winding up this question, I want you to keep in mind and keep the knowledge about the national language separately, okay, official language separately, and the classical language separately. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and also go and read about the national language. This is one kind of a important thing. Comment about your research and study as far as the national language is concerned, whether we have a particular national language or not, and if yes, what is it, and if not, then that's absolutely fine. You can go and comment that in the comment section. Official language ke bare mein we have already discussed, classical language ke bare mein we have already discussed. This is for you to read and analyze. Okay. Next, we see that question number 6, with reference to section 498A of IPC, which of the following statements is or are correct? Now it says the definition of cruelty covers both physical and mental abuse. The Malamuth Committee has recommended making the law compoundable to prevent the possibility of settlement or compromise in the cases. Okay, which of the statements are correct? We need to find out the correct code. First of all, we need to understand, because this is relating to domestic violence, section 498A of IPC, it is dealing with domestic violence basically, right? So first we see that the Supreme Court stated that instead of assuring rapid state intervention for protecting women against cruelty, cruelty by her husband, section 498A is increasingly being misused. Why? Because it is being misused to settle some personal grudges, where there is nothing genuine in the case. There also this particular section, okay, it is found that it is being misused. So under section 498A, cruelty is defined as willfully driving a woman to commit suicide or inflicting grave injury, including what? Physical or mental injury upon her, okay. Now both the Law Commission as well as Malamuth Committee have recommended making dowry law compoundable, okay, both. Understand this. In the question, only one was mentioned, and only the name of Malamuth Committee was mentioned, whereas the Law Commission was missing, and that is why maybe that option could be wrong. We'll just check. Next, we see that why this has been happening, okay. This has been happening because this will leave a scope for compromise in the cases. If it is found that there is no base, okay, there is no genuine base to the case, which is unnecessarily harassing some person who's not even a culprit. So in that case, there will be an option, okay, to make a compromise in the cases where it is felt that the case is not genuine and is motivated in nature, okay, that it is not in real but it is just been misused. So that is why they have recommended making dowry law to be compoundable, okay. This has to be clear to you. Now with this, one more thing that I'll bring to your notice is what are the acts which are included in domestic violence, okay. So it could be physical violence, it could be sexual violence, it could be emotional, or we can say psychological violence, or it could be some kind of a controlling behavior like isolating a person from family and friends, monitoring their movements and restricting access to financial resources, employment, education or medical care, right. So these are all included in the domestic violence, okay. Next, I want you to know certain acts and provisions, okay, Indian laws that helps curb the instances of violence against women. So number one is the Dowry Prohibition Act 1961, the Indecent Representation of Women Prohibition Act 1986, the Commission of Sati Prevention, okay, 1987, and Prevention of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005, the Sexual Harassment of Women Act at Workplace 2013. So these are certain things. You can remember one or two in case you just have to comment somewhere. So it can be good to enhance your content and knowledge. Now we see that with reference to this section, we had to answer this. The definition of cruelty covers both physical and mental abuse. Well, this is correct, right? We read that physical and mental abuse will be covered, okay, under the definition of cruelty as per section 498A of IPC, Indian Penal Code. Next, we saw that the Malamuth Committee has recommended making the law. Of course, Malamuth Committee has recommended, but along with Malamuth Committee, there was also Law Commission. Alright, so keep that in mind, and that is why this statement is not completely correct, and hence we say that this is wrong. Only statement 1 is correct. A is the right answer. Yeah. Next, we see that with reference to Mission Indradhanush, consider the following statements. We see that it covers partially and unvaccinated pregnant women and children. Next, we see under it, all vaccines under Universal Immunization Program, UIP, okay, are provided as per National Immunization Schedule. Last, we see it was launched by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, okay. We need to just study some things about Indradhanush mission and we are good to go. Firstly, we will see why this has been in news, because intensified mission Indradhanush 4.0 has been launched in the month of February 2022, okay. So Indradhanush was launched during February 2022. Like I told you, we'll have 3 rounds, okay. So there is some updated news. This has been going since long, but now there are certain updates coming as far as this mission is concerned. So it will have 3 rounds. It will be conducted in 416 districts, including 75 districts identified for Azadi Ka Mahotsav, okay. So it will include those districts also. There will be 33 states and union territories across the countries will also be covered. Now the first round will be conducted from February to April 2022, and the second round will be conducted from April to May 2022. Okay, in the first round there will be around 11 states that will be covered, and in the second round 22 other states will be covered. Okay, so these are the states mentioned here. These will be covered in phase wise manner. Okay. So this is launched by Ministry of Health and Family Affairs, like we already saw. Further, we need to see that what are the targeted diseases under Mission Indradhanush. So first it is measles, hepatitis B, polio, tetanus, diphtheria, tuberculosis. All these diseases are to be covered under this mission, okay, to tackle this disease through immunization. Now, which are the areas, what types of areas are targeted? So slums with migration, okay, nomads, bricklins, construction sites, other migrants, fishermen, villages, etc. So people of all these areas are actually targeted, because these are the ones who are usually deprived of any kind of medical aid and assistance. So that is why they are providing it majorly to these areas, and these areas has been incorporated in their strategy plan. Next, we also have to discuss about the outcome of this mission. So if we see, the outcomes are quite positive. So previously the immunization was really low, and that is why we couldn't really tackle with the diseases which could actually be tackled by vaccination and immunization. But now full immunization coverage among children between the age group of 12 to 23 months of age has increased from 62%, okay, 62% to 76.4%. 62% it was mentioned in the previous National Family Health Survey, okay. What is it? National Family Health Survey. Fourth, okay, so fourth family health survey, and the report was improvised. There was an improvised report in the National Family Health Survey number 5. So it was rising, and we saw that it rose from 62% to 76.4%, okay. So that's a positive outcome we can conclude. Next, if we see this, it covers partially and unvaccinated pregnant women and children. This is correct. We saw that. Under it, all vaccines under Universal Immunization Program are provided as per National Immunization Schedule. This is also true. And it was launched by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, MOHFW. This is also true. So 1, 2, 3 all are correct. D is the right option. I hope the discussion is getting clear to you, and also the facts that we're discussing about that particular topic are also getting clear to you. Next, we see that in question number 8, we see that with reference to Nirbhaya Fund, consider the following statements. The fund is administered by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Next, it says the fund is to support initiatives protecting the dignity and ensuring safety of women in India. So, a Nirbhaya Fund, of course, we know the Nirbhaya incidents, and that was in a highlight for quite a long time, and based on that only and related to that only this particular thing is here. So this is in news because the Standing Committee on Education, Women, Children, Youth and Sports in its 306th report has expressed concerns over the underutilization, like I told you, underutilization of the Nirbhaya Fund, and has asked the government to bring states on board for faster implementation of projects and schemes which are to be under Nirbhaya Fund, okay. Now, what is the purpose of this fund? This purpose of the fund is to support the initiative protecting the dignity and ensuring safety of the women in India. So, it is dedicated for this particular cause, and there will be certain measures taken, certain schemes will be released to do and perform and achieve this particular set target. Now, the fund, who is administering this fund? The fund is administered by the Department of Economic Affairs of the Finance Ministry, right? Keep that in mind. So I think one statement is very much clear to you, that it is administered by the Economic Affairs of the Finance Ministry. Now, if we see that Uttarakhand is only utilizing 71%, okay, which is actually good as compared to others, but it is still low. 61% Mizoram, Chhattisgarh is only 44%, 52% Nagaland, Uttar Pradesh 41% only, Tripura 41% only, Andhra Pradesh 39% only. So these are some states which are doing better, okay, which are doing better as compared to the states which are absolutely doing nothing. So we see Karnataka has utilized only 7% of the fund, and rest of the states, Maharashtra, Manipur, Meghalaya, Sikkim, are absolutely not at all bothered and are not utilizing it at all. So that is one kind of a complaint that came. So Nirbhaya fund's purpose is to have emergency response support system, central victim compensation fund, and cybercrime prevention against women and children, one-stop center scheme, Mahila police volunteers, and universalization of women helpline scheme. Okay, so all these things are to be implemented using the Nirbhaya fund. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. Next we see that the fund is administered by the Ministry of Home Affairs. I told you it is not Home Affairs, it is Economic Affairs. Economic Affairs under Ministry of Finance, right? So this statement is wrong, and the fund is to support the initiative. We saw what is the purpose. This is basically the purpose of this fund, okay, Nirbhaya fund, and this is correct. So only second is correct, B is the right option. Next we see question number 9 with reference to the Index of Industrial Production, IIP. Consider the following statements. It says that it measures the short-term changes in the volume of production of a basket of industrial products. That is basically telling you what is IIP all about. So if you have an idea, or even if you know the definition of IIP, this statement will be easy to handle. It is done by the National Statistics Office under the Ministry of Finance. Next we see currently IIP figures are calculated considering the 2004 and 2005 data as the base year. Well, this is very much doubtful. Let us go and check. Yeah, so firstly we need to check why this has been in news. So if we see that recently India's industrial recovery has slowed down sharply in the month of December. Now with output is growing only just by 0.4% year on year, and the manufacturing activity is also shrinking, okay, 0.1%. As per the official estimates for the Index of Industrial Production, IIP. So these are the official estimates which is actually showing that the recovery has slowed down sharply in the month of December, and also that the output is growing just by 0.4%, and manufacturing activity is also shrinking, okay. So that is of course a matter of concern if we talk keeping in mind the economic perspective of the country. So first of all we'll see what is IIP. So Index of Industrial Production is a composite indicator of what? It measures the short-term changes in the volume of the production of a basket of industrial products, and that was one of the statements given in the question itself. And when it measures this during a given period with respect to that in a chosen base period, okay, and we are also talking about the base period in the question. There the base period is mentioned to be 2004 and 5. Well, I think this is quite an old data, so I don't think this is the right choice, okay. So let us check if it is this year only which is considered as the base year or not. We'll check that too. Now what is IIP? IIP number measures the industrial production for the period under review, usually a month, as against the reference period, okay. So this is one thing. And why? This is an index used to track the performance of the industrial sector in the Indian economy. So we saw that the performance is not really good, and as per the report we can conclude that the performance is not considered to be good, okay, as far as the industrial sector's performance is considered for the Indian economy. Now, it is a key economic indicator of the manufacturing sector of the economy, right? So, this is something which is to be considered. And also you see the base year was changed to 2011 and 12 from 2004 and 5 in the year 2017. So, right now what is the base year? The base year is 2011 and 12, okay. And when did this become the base year? It became the base year in the year 2017, okay. Previous to that, what was considered as the base year? 2004 and 5 was considered as the base year, okay. So that statement becomes wrong. Next we see who releases the Index of Industrial Production or IIP data. So if we see in case of Index of Industrial Production, IIP data is compiled and published by the CSO, Central Statistical Organization. Okay, this is the one which operates under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Okay. So these details are important and this much data is sufficient for you to know for this particular question and to solve this question. Firstly, we see that it measures the short-term changes in the volume of production of a basket of industrial products. Absolutely right. It's completely dealing with the manufacturing activity of the industrial sector of the economy, right? Now, it is done by the National Statistics Office, NSO, under the Ministry of Finance. Absolutely wrong, right? It is under the Ministry of Statistics, okay? We have read that already, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, right? And that is why this option becomes incorrect. So this is correct, this is, this is correct, this is incorrect. Currently, IIP figures are calculated considering the base year as 2004 and 5, which was wrong. We actually concluded then and there. So this is also wrong. Currently, the base year is 2011 and 12, okay, and this was declared as the base year in 2017. Keep that in mind. So now the right answer is A, which is only 1 is the right option, correct? Yeah, so now I'm taking you to question number 10 here. It's talking about the fleet review. We usually call it as the President's Fleet Review, PFR, okay. So let us see, a fleet review is usually conducted every year on Republic Day by the President. We have to check that. By reviewing the ships, the President reaffirms his faith in the fleet and its ability to defend the nation's maritime interest. So this is all about the facts relating to the PFR, the President's Fleet Review. Once we study what is Fleet Review, we'll be able to answer this very quickly. So firstly, we'll check why this has been in news. This is in news because the Indian Navy has recently hosted that the President's Fleet Review on February 21, okay, 2022. So the President's Fleet Review was hosted by Indian Navy on which date? 21st February 2022, and this was the 12th President's Fleet Review, okay. Remember this, that the one which was conducted in the year 2022 February was the 12th PFR. Now about the Fleet Review. It is a long-standing tradition which is followed by the navies across the world, and why this is done? And it is the assembly of the ships at a pre-designated place for the purpose of displaying the loyalty and allegiance to the sovereign and the state, okay. So this is an activity conducted by the Indian Navy and it is a grand display of the ships. It is usually conducted once during the tenure of the President. Now, since the independence, 11 President's Fleet Reviews have been conducted. Like I told you, this is the 12th one, and it is conducted by the Navy. We already discussed that, of which 2 have been International Fleet Reviews in the year of 2011 and 2016. So there has been International Fleet Reviews as well. The first President's Fleet Review was held in the year 1953 when Dr. Rajendra Prasad was our President in the year 1953, okay, keep that in mind. So that is all about it. Now if we talk in terms of significance, it is always second to the Republic Day Parade, okay. So the Navy's Presidential Review is only second to the Republic Day Parade as far as the significance is concerned. Also, by reviewing it, the head of the state actually reaffirms his faith in the fleet and its ability to defend the nation's maritime interest, and this is done with a very belligerent intentions. What do you mean by that? That there is no aggression involved. It is not aggressive, not aggressively done. It is not aggressive and it is not even hostile in nature. Okay, we can say that. It is not neither hostile in nature, it is not done in an aggressive mood or manner. It is just soft activity, okay. That is why it is saying that without any belligerent intentions, okay, this is done. So I hope this is clear to all of you. We'll go and check the options. The fleet review is usually conducted every year on Republic Day. On Republic Day, no, because we actually read that it is always second to the Republic Day as far as the significance is concerned. And next, it is about why it has been considered to be conducted, that so that the president can reaffirm his faith in the fleet and its ability to defend the country and the maritime interest of the country. Okay, so this is absolutely correct. This is talking about the purpose and the objective of it, which is right, but this is not correct. Okay, this is not correct because it says it is conducted on Republic Day, which is absolutely wrong. So only the second statement is correct. B is the right answer. So well guys, that's all from my end today, and these were the set of 10 important questions which I thought could be important for the upcoming prelims 2022. I hope you guys are all gearing up, but also at the same time study hard, but don't forget to take care of your health, because that's anyway a priority. Have a proper sleep routine, have a little bit of exercise or meditation, okay, and take care of your health. Especially keep yourself mentally very fit. That's all from my end. Also, don't forget to respond to the little bit of points of discussion that we included in the session, also to the little bit of assignments that's given from my end to you. So we'll be happy to see you responding actively. Please go to the comment section and comment your answers there. And like I always say, let's learn together, let's grow together, and let's crack together. So this is me, Twinkle, signing off. You guys take care. Thank you so much.